DJC Productions proudly presents The Dusty Cover Show. Hear the inside story from today's authors, plus free chapter downloads. Kindly promoted by Lady Lake Artist Promotion and Publicity for artists and bands in the US and UK. And now, here's Dusty Cover.
Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas to all of you, and thank you for tuning in to my Christmas Spectacular. Christmas is a time of year to spend with family and friends, and we can't always be with those we love. So I want to send out a message to my son James and his girlfriend Kath, and my daughter's boyfriend Chris, and say Merry Christmas and have a lovely time. I am here with my eldest two girls, Mary and Emily. Also Mandy the Spaniel and Captain the Cat and Ted, Murray's dog. And we're here in Stroud. It's a beautiful part of the English country in the Cotswolds. Murray's got a beautiful red brick house with a real fire with logs that crackle and a lovely Christmas tree and simple decorations and homemade presents. So I'm really excited to be here and sharing my Christmas Eve with you all. So also want to shout out and say hello to my friends. Wishing a Merry Christmas to Rebel and Irish and Cindy and Douglas particularly for all their help and support with this radio show. Also all of the awesome bands that let me play their music. We've got a great selection of guests lined up for next year, interesting authors and all books that I love to read and have read. But today we have a special treat. We have Jamie Adams' book, which I'm discussing, Creepy Christmas. And for those of you who want to escape Christmas, I know not everybody likes Christmas, there's Dan Thompson's Here Lies Love. So the music for tonight's show has got a special Christmassy theme, and I picked them out specially because I admire both of the bands and also their music. The first song will be The Elf on the Shelf by David Britt. David Britt is an American country and western singer, very handsome, but also very talented and very nice as well. He's probably best known for his country flow songs. And then the second song will be Sparkle Glide by Desdemona. And I've known Desdemona for a long time. They're an English band and I've been to hear them many times. And more recently in Oxford, when Sarah's the lead singer of Desdemona, sang Closer on episode 2 with Stu Clark. Without further ado, let's listen to David Britt introduce his song, The Elf on the Shelf.
Hi everybody, this is David Britt and you're listening to the Dusty Cover Show. This is my song, The Elf Song, which is a tribute to the elf on the shelf. I hope everybody out there has a wonderful Christmas and a great New Year. I'm sending lots of love to you from me. God bless you, my friends.
The elf on the shelf is a magical friend. He comes to you when Christmas begins. He goes back and forth to see Santa and Miss Claus to let them know if you've been good or not. Where's the elf on the shelf? Where's your elf on the shelf? Could he be hiding somewhere else? Where's the elf on the shelf? Where's your elf on the shelf? Is he in your room on top of the fridge above the door hanging on a limb? You've got to find him. The elf on the shelf. The elf on the shelf could be a boy or a girl whose name could be Flower, Steve, Julie, or Earl. They go back and forth to see Santa and Miss Claus, so you better be good if it's a present that you want. Where's the elf on the shelf? Where's your elf on the shelf? Could he be hiding somewhere else? Where's the elf on the shelf? Where's your elf on the shelf? Is he in your room on top of the fridge above the door hanging on a limb? You've got to find him. The elf on the shelf.
I wonder where he is. Did you see where he went?
I bet he flew outside and he's floating in the wind.
I think he's in the car. No, silly, he can't drive.
I bet he's still in here. Let's keep looking inside.
Where's the elf on the shelf? Where's your elf on the shelf? Could he be hiding somewhere else? Where's the elf on the shelf? Where's your elf on the shelf? Is he in your room on top of the fridge above the door hanging on? And then is he in the house? Where did he go? You've got to know. Where's the elf on the shelf?
So the first book I'm going to review is Creepy Christmas by my friend Jamie Adams. Jamie has written many books, and This Creepy Christmas is actually free to download on Amazon. So it's got a real Christmassy magical feel about it. And it's lovely for children or grown-ups alike. And I think it will be a new classic. I mean, we all get out the old classics over Christmas, and they are nice, and there's something very comforting about them. But it's also nice to have something completely brand new and up to date and modern. And what I love about this book too, it's in touch with modern life as well. It starts off with a very real family where the mother's got a new boyfriend and the father's sort of keeping his job, but you can tell there's a lot of strain for the young family, and the little girl, who is the star of the book, Katie, she holds the story together so well, and she is such a believably well-written and lovable character that I instantly felt drawn into her world and became part of the magic of their everyday life. There's something very interesting and appealing about Katie, who is the older sister of two girls, Pippa. They start off the story quite sad, dreading spending this year's Christmas, which has almost been such a huge event for her in her life, such a huge big event, as it is for many people, I think, with small children. I remember myself them not being able to sleep on Christmas Eve and things like that, and it's very exciting for children. But this Christmas, Katie and her younger sister are spending it with Seth, which is the mother's boyfriend, the new boyfriend, who's a stranger. And the mother met him online as well. And Katie, the little girl, realises things are going to be very different this year, and she's not at all happy with the change. And like most little girls, Katie idolises her father and understandably wants him back in the house. But there are also some other changes this year, creepy ones, like the snowmen moving around the street, and the coal eyes watching her every move, and a fairy who won't stay on top of the Christmas tree. And worst of all, there's an extra Father Christmas in the shopping mall, and Katie sort of explains all of these changes very well, and you get to sort of see the whole story through a little girl's eyes, which makes it somehow you feel more connected to the magic that way. I think as well, Katie notices all these changes, and she notices that they're important as well. And I think she gets the same traits of the noticing and things, everything, because her father's a security guard in the mall, and he has to notice everything as part of his job. And Katie sometimes goes up there and sits at the back of his office because he's in charge of all of the security guards, and so he sits and watches the camera. And she'd probably honed her little skills, her Sherlock Holmes skills of noticing when things are wrong. But two Father Christmases is quite a big change anyway, and I think most children would notice that. But what Jamie Adams has done with this story is very enchanting. She's got an endless and amazing imagination, and she's created a magical tale with this Creepy Christmas. I would recommend it for over 10-year-olds to read themselves, because it's easy to read, and it's written in a humorous and a heartwarming way. And several times I found myself giggling and also feeling quite sad as well, because it starts off quite sad, but it's a lovely, heartwarming story. It really is. And so I recommend it. And like I say, it's free at the moment to download, so you've got nothing to lose. Beautiful cover as well. Beautiful, happy, big, smiley Father Christmas on the cover. Jamie currently has 4 other books: Kismetology, I hope I'm saying that right, Afterlife Academy, North Pole Reform School, and Not Pretty Enough. She is a committed and passionate writer who's still only in her early 20s, so I'm sure she'll have many more to follow to share the delight of her readers and many followers. So please download this book, because you won't regret it. I think it will add to your Christmas.
Creepy Christmas, Chapter 1. Friday nights are rubbish now. They used to be my favourite nights of the week. Every Friday when I got home from school, I would cook dinner for our family. That's me, Mum, Dad, my little sister Pippa, and even our dog Harry would get a small plateful. But his opinion of dinner doesn't count, because he would eat the dust out of the vacuum cleaner if he could get the bag open. I love to cook. And on Fridays, because Mum finished work late and my homework could be put off until the weekend, Mum and Dad would let me cook the whole dinner and dessert as long as I left the kitchen door open. Dad came in to supervise occasionally, and Pippa wasn't allowed near the oven or the kettle. Mum said that nothing would change after the divorce, and that I could still cook for her, Pippa and Harry, and we could make up a plate for Dad and take it to him the next day. I argued that the food would be spoiled by the next day, but Mum insisted that it wouldn't. She even said that maybe Dad could come over on a Friday night to eat with us, but that hasn't happened. And my Friday nights of cookery, well, I cooked a few times at first, but one time I automatically set a plate for Dad, and Mum got upset about it. Since then I've really given up on the Friday night dinners. What's the point in cooking for your whole family if you don't have a proper family to cook for? It's never been the same without Dad here. Sometimes I bake a batch of cookies at the weekends. We put some in a bag and take them to Dad, but he never gets them hot and fresh out of the oven like he used to, and they just don't taste the same when they've gone a bit soggy in the bag overnight. Hi, by the way. My name is Katie. Yes, spelt like that. I like it. It gives my bog-standard, boring name something different from the millions of other Katies out there. We live in a small village called Chell Ferry. I'm 10 years old, and I'm in J6 class at school with my best friend Tammy and our teacher, Mrs. Platkin. I live in a small house with my mum, Pippa and Harry, and since last week, Mum's new boyfriend seems to have taken up occupying our basement. But he has to go. As soon as humanly possible. Really, the less said about the new boyfriend, the better. Dad not living here anymore is a temporary situation, and I intend to fix things before the year is out. Dad moved out in the summer. He got an apartment in a huge block of flats across town. He lives so many stories up that you get vertigo from looking out of his window. The elevator to his floor smells of pee, and the stairs are smeared with an unknown and very unpleasant-looking brown substance, so you have to walk up carefully while trying not to touch anything. It's very disturbing. The only night that Mum did let me stay over with Dad, something happened to his hot water heater, and there was no hot water at all in his whole flat, and I had to sleep on his lumpy, bumpy, uncomfortable pull-out sofa bed.
Many thanks, Kevin Elliott, for that wonderful reading of Creepy Christmas. And here now is Sparkle Glide by Desdemona. listening to the Dusty Cover Show, brought to you by DJC Productions. We'll be back in a moment after this short advert.
Young adult enthusiast and acclaimed author of Here Lies Love, Dan Thompson returns with an epic fantasy being described as a Game of Thrones for teens. Come and enter this magical tale of fantasy and myth, battles and warriors, and meet a host of memorable characters. Jack, a teenager from our present, and Blake, a Victorian assassin, are plucked from their homes and awaken in a new land, a realm of fantasy and myth. Drawn into a war between two rival races, they must each choose allies. Jack wants to get home, Blake wants revenge. An oracle has persuaded the Amazon Queen that a black petal will summon a powerful god who can grant them victory. A prophecy told long ago tells of a boy from another time who can discover this petal, and the Amazon Queen is certain Jack is the boy. She offers him freedom and a way home in exchange. Will Jack reach the petal in time, or will he succumb to the yapping jaws of the mysterious creatures chasing him? And what of Blake? What is the connection between Jack and the assassin that will surely shape their future? The Black Petal is the first adventure in an exciting new trilogy.
So if you're fed up of all the glitter and tinsels and bells and jolly holly holidays, then I would suggest that you escape into a good book, and here's a perfect one for you to escape into. It's Here Lies Love by Dan Thompson. Dan is a masterful writer and brilliant at taking you into different realms of worlds to escape to. This book, Here Lies Love, is a masterpiece from cover to end. It's one of those rare books which is constantly brilliant throughout. Each character is carefully described and is very lifelike. The plot, which is macabre in places, moves at a pleasing pace too. The story starts with our heroine, Abby, who is a feisty redhead and instantly likeable. She, along with other girls, has been trapped and caged by a monster called Stefan. You hear her inner thoughts and feel her fears as she waits her impending doom. She shudders at the sounds in the house, her captors' perverse games, which only aim to thrill himself. She is very brave for such a young age of 17, and in her story you begin to learn all about her character and you become quite attached to her. This is a story of self-discovery and growth, of betrayal and trust. Later in the book she meets characters her own age, Tristan and Ryan. Both are very lifelike in their description. Ryan is tenderly described. He is the gentlest character in the book. His friendship with Tristan is paramount in his life, and who I strongly suspect of being gay. Tristan, a strong and beautiful man, exquisitely described, and probably the best hero character I've ever read. He is everything that you would want and hope for our heroine Abby. Abby clings to life. She almost falters at one point, but her will to survive and to seek revenge against her father, that she feels she needs to do to move on with her life and find peace, drives her on. It's a gripping story. Right off the start of it, you're drawn into quite a dark start, and then there's just so many interesting visual references. Dan is a poet, and you can tell by his beautiful descriptive words, which are a joy to read. He just describes everything in such perfect detail that you feel like you're transported there. Abby's father is a difficult character to understand at first, but the author writes him with all clarity, so you're left with no doubt at the end of the story that he's a nasty piece of work. Dan's quite breathtaking in the way that he describes the planet and how the sun escapes from the sky and the beauty of the moon and the stars. I could not put this book down. The story is both gripping and chilling. In reading between the lines of the chapters, I would think about the story and wonder what the next chapter would be and always be surprised. The story ends well, but I'm not going to give you the ending. Abby's final fate is open and wholly her own choice, which leaves it open for the next book, which I'm surely hope there will be one. But now we have a lovely reading from the audiobook itself.
Here Lies Love, written by Dan Thompson, narrated by Karina Marcos. Where there is love, there is life. Mahatma Gandhi. Forget what hurt you, but never forget what it taught you. Anon. Blood isn't always thicker than water. Sharon Sant, Runners. Chapter 1. A Sad World. The artificial blue haze did little to illuminate the cityscape, a cold glow that instilled little faith to the people that scavenged and plundered beneath. As he watched from up above, out of his dirty window, Stefan knew as soon as one of them found something edible, be it a mouldy potato, bruised apple, or soiled meat, a fight would ensue. The stifled sobs behind him brought him out of his thoughts. He ignored them and continued to gaze out of the window. The moon seemed so far away, further even than it was a day earlier. It was as if the world was losing its grasp on the lunar god in the sky. She was getting ready to turn her back on them just as the sun had done decades earlier. The world a loveless and lonely orphan left in their wake. He remembered so vividly of how his grandfather spoke of luscious fields so green they felt like velvet. And trees, too. Trees that bore delicious fruit, unlike the dilapidated skeletal things that surrounded the city like a ring of death, a constant reminder of what was fast approaching. The world had become a minuscule existence within a effete, elusive society. A whimper rattled his ears. He closed his eyes, swallowing the anger back into the bowels of his body. Breathe, just breathe. But where was his grandfather now? Stefan knew that he was just as likely to be as dry as the ring of trees. He was just another example of a lost generation. He had no family left now, alone, isolated. He knew how the moon felt. He'd probably turn his back on them all too. He unlatched the window and its wood casing creaked against the rusty metal. A stagnant chill caressed his face and he inhaled deeply, allowing the poisoned air to course through his veins. The shuffle and groan irritated him once again. He slammed the window shut and placed his bald head against the cold, smooth glass. All he wanted was quiet, a halcyon existence. Why was that so difficult? He approached an uneven side table in the darkness and, striking a match, lit up the leaning candle placed there. Holding it inches away from his face, the flickering warm against his cheek, he turned his attention to a waxy cage in the corner of the room. As he got nearer, the cries became more attuned and more frequent. He couldn't suppress the smile.
Now we have a real treat for you. We have Joe Gandy's song, Can't See My Life.
Hey, this is Joe Gandy, and you're listening to the Dusty Cover Show. And now, here's my song, Can't See My Life.
There was a time when we were lovers. I guess now it's time for being friends. Someday we'll be laughing at each other, 'cause we'll be together till the end. And I can't see my life
Well, this is Dusty Cover, closing the book on the Christmas Eve special show. Thank you all for tuning in. My next week's guest will be Anna Parker Naples, the actress who's well known for her audiobook reading. She's read the Tracy Beaker series as well as my own garden book. Thank you all for listening.